Hello everyone, welcome to the session on Python file handling. I am Dr. Sunma Ratnayaka from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, University of Mysore. In this session, I will introduce you to a few basic concepts related to file handling in Python and some functions that we can use to read and write to files. By now, you should be familiar with our color coding system, which we have been using throughout this course to highlight important points and categorize various terminology and different topics related to our lessons. Here is the outline of this lesson. First, we will talk about files in general and why do we need them. Then we will look into the Python commands relevant to file operations such as opening, reading and writing files. Before we start talking about files, let me do a quick recap on the main components of a computer system, which you learned at the beginning of this course. This will help you understand the role of files in a computer system. Our modern computers mainly consist of four main subsystems, mainly the central processing unit, the memory subsystem, the input-output devices and the storage devices. So far, the lessons you have learned in this course involved CPU, memory and the input and output devices. The main memory in the system is volatile. In other words, the main memory is a temporary memory where the contents would be deleted when we switch off the power. Therefore, the work we do need to be saved in some kind of persistent storage so that we can use that later. The persistent storage is also called secondary storage of a computer. Typical secondary storage devices used today include hard disks, solid state devices or SSDs, and pen drives. You may think of few other storage devices as well. Data is stored in these secondary storage devices as files. There are many types of files which we often differentiate using the file extension at the end of the file name. For example, you can see a list of file types shown on the slide. Commonly encountered file types include text files, PDF files, Word files, Excel files, image files and video files. There are thousands of different file types. The extension of the file is the last part of the file name, which comes after the dot symbol. For example, text files can be identified by the extension .txt. On the top right section of the slide, you can see an example text file. The name of the text file is myfile and the extension is txt, which indicates that my file is a text file. Text files are a very simple file type and they consist of a sequence of lines that contain only text characters such as letters, numbers and other special characters. Our example text file shown here, myfile.txt, has three such lines as you can see. The three lines are: I like Python programming, I am learning Python with UOM, and Python is easy to learn. In our lesson today, we will learn file handling with text files as an example. Before reading or writing to a file, we need to open the required file. To facilitate opening files, Python provides us with a function named open. open function opens the required file and provides us with a special pointer called a file handle. A file handle is a special variable that links our Python program to the file and helps us perform various file operations. While opening files, Python allows us to specify a file opening mode, which indicates the purpose of opening the file. For example, we can tell Python that we want to open a file only for reading, for writing, or for both reading and writing. Here is how we can open our text file myfile.txt using the open function. As you can see, there is a special variable called fhandle, which is the variable where the file handle is going to be assigned after calling the open function. To open a file, you must provide the name of the file that you want to open as a string. In addition to the file name, you can also optionally specify the file opening mode. In the first open example, we have only given our file name as the input parameter to the open function. If we do not specify a file opening mode like shown in the example 1, Python automatically assumes that we are opening the file for reading. In the second open example, we have explicitly specified R as the file opening mode in addition to the specifying file name. Therefore, the file will be open in the read mode. Essentially, both example 1 and 2 opens the same file named myfile.txt in the read mode. After opening the file, we can read the file contents. In this example, in the first line, we open our text file myfile.txt without specifying a mode, which will result in opening the file in the read mode. The open file will be assigned to the file handle named fhandle. Then in the second line, we use another Python function called read, which is used to read the contents of the open file. When calling the read function, we have to tell Python from which file we want to read. This is done by calling the read function for a specific file handle. In this example, our Python file handle is fhandle, and we can call fhandle.read to read the file associated with the fhandle file handle. Read function reads the whole file and returns us all the contents of the file as a sequence of characters. This returned content can be now stored in a variable as a string. In the second line, we are storing the contents of the file read using read function in a variable called fcontents. The contents can be processed like any other string variable. In our example, after reading contents into the fcontents variable, the third line prints them. This is the expected output of the example code shown here. The contents of the file myfile.txt will be printed on the terminal as shown. After we are done with the file operations, we should close the file we opened. Python may automatically close any open file when the file is reassigned to a different file handle. However, it is a good programming practice to close the file after its use. We can close any open file by using the close function as shown in the example. In the early example of reading files, we used the read function which reads the whole file at a single go. We can also ask Python to read a file line by line instead of reading everything at once. This can be achieved by using readLine function. After opening the file, we can call readLine with the relevant file handle to read the file line by line. In the example shown, we print each line read from the file. You may wonder how Python determines end of a line. For example, readLine function needs to locate the end of each line of the file to read the contents line by line. In Python and most other programming languages, the end of each line in a text file is indicated with a special hidden character called the newline character. The newline character is written with the symbols \n and is placed at the end of each line. Since it is a special symbol used to indicate the end of the line, it is not visible in the text file. However, while printing sequence of characters, whenever a new line is encountered, Python goes to the next line before printing the next character. In our text file, the placement of new line character placements are shown in the slide. Now that we know how to read files in Python, let us learn how to write to a file in Python. To write a file, we have to open the file in the write mode. To do that, we can specify the mode as W while calling the open function. Once opened, we can use the function write to write a given string to the file. In the example given, we have a string called myString which contains the two lines Python is great and file handling is so easy. You may note that to separate the two lines, we have used the new line character \n after the full stop of the first line. As usual, we close the file after writing. In this lesson, we learned how to open files in different modes such as read mode and write mode. There are many other opening modes which you will learn in our next series of Python lessons. When opening files, we need to specify the file name like we saw in the example. This will only work if the file is located in the current working directory. If we want to open a file which is located at the location which is different from our working directory, we should give the full file path as the file name as shown in the line 4 of the example shown in the current slide. Whatever the mode that you try to open the file with, you can encounter a situation in which the file you are trying to open does not exist in the specified file path or in the current directory. In such a situation, depending on the file opening mode, Python will take different actions. If the file mode is read, Python will show an error saying that the file cannot be found. If the file open mode is W or write, Python will create a new file named with file name specified if it does not already exist. Alright, so we have come to the end of the lesson on Python file handling. In this lesson, we learned the importance of files and the roles files play in a computer system and how to open, read, write and close files with Python. There are many complex tasks we can do with Python file handling, which we will be learning on advanced Python courses we'll be offering after this series of lessons. Thank you. Hello everyone.